Hello, loves. So, today I really wanted to get into how to turn a squishy feeling or idea or an unformed idea that you have and really turn it into like clearer language. Now, this is not like a proven framework, but this is something that has helped me in the past, especially when I'm at work or in relationship and I'm trying to articulate or take the gut feeling that I have, like tension in my belly or like a pain in my chest, and put it into words so that I can better communicate to someone else what I'm actually thinking and feeling. Now, I will preface this by saying that it's not a framework or a process to go through right in the middle of having that feeling. It is better used after you've had it as like a reflective practice so that if that feeling comes up again or you have a different or similar feeling, you can go through this process and have a clearer way of articulating your feelings to someone else. So let's get into the 5-step process. Really, it's 4 steps plus an optional step to get you from squishy thoughts and feelings into clear communication. Okay, step number 1 is really to get very curious about the feeling that you're having. And I know for me, it's really hard for me to understand what feeling I'm having. I just feel it in my body and I don't necessarily know like the word for it, such as being like annoyed or frustrated or feeling belittled, because I felt all of those, especially at work in particular. And so, for example, there was a project that I was working on at work, and in our project management software, I was asked to give some suggestions for how to rewrite some copy and for an email. And I'm a marketer, in case you didn't know that. So this is a part of my job. I regularly do it. And I also have a background in PR. So I've spent a lot of time writing emails and sending them out to journalists. And so one of my coworkers commented back to my suggestions saying that they were just like not relevant, something along those lines. And I immediately, after reading their comment, I was immediately like, ugh. Just like it was a sense of frustration and annoyance, but all I knew was like I felt it in my gut. And so this first step is really to take that, to acknowledge that you're really having that feeling and getting curious about it, because that's really the first step. It's usually there's some body awareness of like what's going on. And if you can understand that your body is reacting even before your mind is, you're at least one step closer to being able to communicate that better to someone else. And so I personally love having like a list of feelings. My therapist actually gave me like a feelings wheel to help me. So in the middle, it has like more broad terms for feelings. So, angry, sad, happy, and then it kind of spreads out to more, not complicated, but more, a more diverse selection of words to describe that feeling. So I'll link it in the comments so that you can go through that list in case you need it. So that's step 1, is to figure out what that feeling is and get curious about it. Now, step 2 is to actually write out objectively what you're feeling. Now, this is a example sentence of what I use. I like to use this and like fill in the blank essentially. So this is a sentence I write out. I say, I am blank because blank, essentially. It's very simple, but I love to write this out. So in the case of the example I gave previously, I wrote out, I am frustrated because my coworker has a limited view on how to write email copy, for example. Now, sometimes you might get into like more details about like, what particularly they said that was frustrating or annoying. But in this case, just having like a clear sentence is, I think, the best kind of starting point. So write that out and also make sure that the cause or the because is an objective cause. So try to make it as objective as possible. I mean, we all have kind of our own biases as we kind of interact with other people, but make that cause just as objective as you can. Step number 3 is to actually support your feelings with hard evidence. So there's a few different questions I like to ask myself as I'm going through this process. And it helps you understand the reasoning for your feeling. So one of the questions I ask is, what do I know is true? So usually when there's a visceral feeling in my gut, there's some sort of contradiction to what I've been told, because I know something differently than what this person has said. And so for me, it's okay, what is actually true to me? What do I actually know? Because I know information in my head, but how do I put that on paper and explain that to someone else? And then I also ask, what have I experienced in other settings? So for example, like I mentioned before, I've worked in PR. I've written emails to journalists, for example. I understand that the subject line is really key when you want someone to open up an email. So there's opportunity to make that subject line more creative or interesting. And so writing out what you have experienced in the past that could provide more evidence to why you think or feel the way that you do is another part of this step. And then I think this is one of the most important pieces in the step is asking what outside resources have to say or what outside resources can support what I'm thinking. So I might find an article about writing email copy or writing email subject lines and kind of the human psychology behind that. Written by someone else, but again, that evidence can support what I'm already thinking and feeling. So you can find, again, supporting evidence, literature, news, books, other thought leaders on the subject to help support your thinking and your feeling. Now, step number 4 is a little bit more creative. So you want to get your ideas out of your head, all of those thoughts and feelings, and get them out. So we've already kind of written out a single sentence to describe how we're feeling and why, but this would be a good opportunity to maybe talk it out with someone. So a coworker, partner, friend, so you can articulate what you're feeling and thinking. Or you might draw it. I love drawing. I love painting, having a meditation practice around it, just so that it's not kind of sitting and festering, but you're able to get it out in a different kind of way. And another option could be just journaling for 5 or 10 minutes about the situation, what you're thinking, how you're feeling, and writing out some of that supporting evidence that you have. And then step number 5 is to share it. Now, this is kind of the most important part. And again, I said that this is, at the beginning, this is optional because it might not be imperative to share what you're thinking anymore. Maybe in the case of my work situation, I didn't respond back with all of the evidence that I had at that time. But I know that in the future, if something like this comes up, I will have the evidence already. I will be able to, again, take the feelings I'm having and support it. I'll have a clear message to that person to explain why I'm feeling what I'm thinking. And so whether it's communicating with your coworker, your boss, your partner, your parents, your best friend, this is a really crucial part of getting to taking your feelings and communicating them with others. But again, it just might not be something that you need to do at this exact moment. All of these steps are really to help prepare you so that when you have those feelings, those squishy thoughts, and you aren't sure about how to articulate them, this just gives you a framework so that you can do that for yourself in the future and just be more prepared to communicate it. So those are all the steps. I hope that you found them helpful. If you have any other steps that you kind of take or any other advice that you want to give other people, leave them in the comments, and I hope you enjoyed this video.